Is retiring in your 30s a dream too good to be true, or can it become your reality? Picture this: you're in your early 30s, you've just spent a decade or so in the workforce, and now you're ready to hang up your work boots and retire. It sounds like a fantasy, doesn't it? But what if I told you it's not only possible, but there's a whole movement dedicated to making it happen? Welcome to the world of FIRE, an acronym that stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Born out of the frugal and minimalist lifestyles of the late 20th century, the FIRE movement has gained significant momentum in recent years. It's a financial strategy that goes against the grain, challenging conventional wisdom and societal norms. The FIRE movement is all about achieving financial independence and retiring early, much earlier than the traditional retirement age of 65. This isn't about winning the lottery or inheriting a fortune, it's about living frugally, saving aggressively, and investing wisely. The history of the FIRE movement can be traced back to the 1992 book, Your Money or Your Life, by Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez. They challenged readers to rethink their relationships with money, to value time over material possessions, and to find fulfillment outside of consumerism. Since then, the FIRE philosophy has evolved and diversified, with different variants emerging. Some people practice lean FIRE, living on a shoestring budget to retire as soon as possible. Others prefer fat FIRE, where they save enough to maintain a more comfortable lifestyle in retirement. But one thing remains consistent across all versions of FIRE. It's about gaining control over your finances to create the freedom to live life on your terms. It's about making the choice to prioritize financial independence over the status quo. Imagine a life where you're not tied down by financial constraints. Intrigued? Let's delve deeper. The FIRE movement isn't just about retiring early, it's a whole new approach to money and lifestyle. Now, you might be wondering, what does FIRE stand for? It's an acronym for Financial Independence, Retire Early. Let's break it down, shall we? The concept of financial independence is about having enough wealth to live without the necessity of working. It's about having your money work for you, rather than you working for your money. This is where the idea of passive income comes in. Imagine a life where your income doesn't stop, even when you're not actively working. Sounds dreamy, right? That's the essence of financial independence. Now, the retire early part is self-explanatory. But it's important to note that early retirement here doesn't necessarily mean lounging around doing nothing. It's about having the freedom to pursue what you truly love, without the constraints of a 9-to-5 job. One of the core principles of the FIRE movement is frugality. It encourages living below one's means to save and invest the surplus. This might sound like a sacrifice, but adherents of FIRE see it as a trade-off for future freedom. Then we have the famous 4% rule. It's a rule of thumb in the FIRE community that suggests if you can live on 4% of your savings annually, you're financially independent. This is based on historical market returns and inflation rates, and while it's not a one-size-fits-all rule, it's a good starting point for many. Another key aspect is investing, specifically in low-cost, broad market index funds. These are favored for their historical performance and low fees. It's not about getting rich quick, but about building wealth over time. So, in essence, the FIRE movement is a lifestyle choice. It's about prioritizing financial health and freedom over material possessions and societal norms. It's about taking control of your money and, by extension, your life. So it's about more than just retirement, it's about achieving financial freedom. Sounds great in theory, but does the FIRE movement work in real life? Let's dive in and see. Meet Jane. She's a 32-year-old software engineer who bid adieu to the 9-to-5 grind 2 years ago. Jane's daily routine now involves a mix of travel, personal projects, and volunteer work. She doesn't have the traditional trappings of wealth, no mansion, no luxury car, no designer wardrobe. Instead, she's invested in experiences that bring her joy and fulfillment. Then there's Mike. A former corporate lawyer, Mike chose to retire at 38 to pursue his passion for teaching. He now spends his days tutoring underprivileged kids, a job that pays him in satisfaction rather than six-figure salaries. He's swapped expensive suits for casual wear and lavish dinners for home-cooked meals, but he's never been happier. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Achieving FIRE requires dedication and quite often considerable sacrifice. Jane and Mike had to drastically cut their spending and live well below their means for several years. They've traded in nights out for nights in, brand-name goods for generic, and vacations for staycations. They've had to learn to ignore the societal pressure to keep up with the Joneses, and instead focus on their long-term goal of financial independence. And yet, they'll tell you it's all been worth it. The freedom they now enjoy, the The lack of financial stress, the ability to pursue their passions, these are the rewards of their discipline and determination. They've swapped the traditional definition of success, money, status, material possessions, for a life that's rich in time, freedom, and personal satisfaction. But here's the catch. FIRE isn't a one-size-fits-all solution. It requires a certain mindset, a willingness to go against the grain, and the discipline to stick to a stringent savings plan. Not everyone is willing or able to make these sacrifices, and that's okay. The goal isn't to make everyone retire early, but to show that there are alternative paths to financial security and personal fulfillment. These people have made it happen, but the question remains, is it for everyone? In the current economic climate, is the FIRE movement a feasible option, or just a pipe dream for most? It's a question that's been on the minds of many, especially as we navigate the economic landscape of 2024. Let's talk about the challenges. Inflation, for starters. It's the sneaky thief that quietly erodes the value of your hard-earned dollars. With inflation rates fluctuating unpredictably, it's a constant battle to ensure your savings are growing at a pace to outstrip it. Then there's the cost of living. Depending on where you live, the basic necessities of life can take a significant chunk out of your income, leaving less to save towards your FIRE goals. And let's not forget about market volatility. The stock market, where many FIRE adherents invest a significant portion of their savings, can be a roller coaster ride. One day you're up, the next, you're down. It takes a strong stomach and a steady hand not to panic when the market takes a nosedive. Now, on to the criticisms and misconceptions. Some say the FIRE movement is only for the privileged few who earn high incomes. Others argue it promotes a lifestyle of deprivation, denying yourself today's pleasures for tomorrow's financial freedom. But is that really the case? Remember, FIRE is not about deprivation. It's about making conscious choices. It's about deciding what's truly important to you and allocating your resources accordingly. Sure, you might have to forego that daily latte or the latest smartphone upgrade, but if it brings you closer to your goal of financial independence, isn't it worth it? And as for the argument that FIRE is only for high earners, let's not forget that it's not about how much you earn, but how much you save and invest. It's about living below your means, regardless of what those means are. In conclusion, while there are certainly challenges to achieving FIRE in today's economy, it's not an unattainable dream. It requires discipline, patience, and a willingness to question societal norms around money and retirement. The FIRE movement isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, but it offers a different perspective on money and retirement. Are you ready to take the leap into financial independence and early retirement? If the answer is a resounding yes, then let's dive into the steps you can take to embrace the FIRE movement. First, it's all about budgeting. You need to know where your money is going and how much you're saving. Next, it's about increasing your savings rate. The higher, the better. Aim for at least 50% of your income, then comes investing. This is the fuel that will drive your financial independence vehicle. It's crucial to invest wisely and consistently. Don't be afraid to seek advice from professionals. But remember, knowledge is power. Do your own research and make informed decisions. Read books, follow blogs, join online communities centered around the FIRE movement. It's a journey that requires patience, discipline, and a good dose of resilience. Remember, it's not just about retiring early, it's about gaining control over your financial future.